This is a new Fly Fishing Founders episode where we go behind the scenes with outdoor companies going all in on their craft. This week on the Wet Fly Swing podcast, we have Tom Ski with Road Trek TV.
Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show, where you discover tips, tricks, and tools from the leading names in fly fishing today. We'll help you on your fly fishing journey with classic stories covering steelhead fishing, fly tying, and much more.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for stopping by the Fly Fishing Show. In today's episode, I talk with Tom Ski from Road Trek TV and the Trail of Highways. We hear some of the products Tom distributes, including the Fin Cognito brand shirts and Snowbee gear. Tom shed some light on his day job working in the online space and how to grow your influence. We dig into a bunch of online, some business stuff. So if you're interested in that, you should probably stick around. And let's just jump into it. So without further ado, here's Tom Ski. How's it going, Tom?
Pretty good, Dave. How are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, it's good to get you on the call here. And, you know, we're going to dig into some of the stuff you have going as far as the Trail of Highways. And, you know, it seems to me like you got a ton of things going on, a bunch of balls in the air. But I want to talk about all that, but also want to talk about, fly fishing and just fishing in general. When did you first, I'm not sure if you do more fly fishing or what you're into now. Maybe you can talk about how you first got into that.
Okay. Well, I started fly fishing. I lived on the road. I dropped out of college and went to Missoula, Montana, and my aunt and uncle lived out there, and I started driving truck for them and spent 7 years kicking around. And 1 year I had 15 fishing licenses for 15 states that were full season licenses. And I started fly fishing in Idaho on the salmon and all the way up in New Hampshire. I've fly fished Lake Washington up there. And I just drove around the country backpacking. I had a shotgun in my truck and I bird hunted and fly fished and backpacked. One of my favorite areas to go back in those days was out of Ketchum, Idaho. I knew the guys there whose dad started Hobie, and I would leave my truck with them, and they would take me up and drop me off at the trailhead up out of Pettit Lake up to Alice Lake, and I would backpack and do a 9-lake loop and hang out up there in the wilderness area and fly fish up there as well.
Yeah.
And then I went to Montana and got married. And, I was in Montana out of Missoula, but I went back and permanently stayed in Montana, got married, bought some property on the Missouri River, met Pat Barnes. He taught me how to tie flies and started tying flies. And I started guiding on the Missouri River in 1987, I believe, or 86, something like that. And there was nobody there then. I mean, we had the place to ourselves. Paul Roos was there, John Kowalski, Pete Cardinal, and Craig Matson, who I became very good friends with out of Great Falls. And I started doing a lot with Craig and Neil Streaks and Chris Quinn, and just hanging out there and fishing. I was on the mow until 1991. And then I went to Oregon for a little while and hung out with Dave McNeese, and that's where I met John Shuey. And they got me into steelhead fishing. And then I went back to Montana and started running a fly fishing school out of West Glacier.
Wow.
And I was up there until 2000, I guess. And I guided up there, till then, but we went all over the state. I mean, I did the Beaverhead, the Clark Fork, the Big Hole, the Big Horn. I mean, I took clients everywhere and did extended trips and stuff like that. I love the sport. I mean, it's really in my blood. It's my passion.
Yeah.
Even though I do full-fledged marketing now for a lot of people in the marine industry, from Yamaha, Outboard Marine, and Tidewater Boats, and several other companies in the marine space. And I have a full development web team. We can do anything anybody wants, a full SEO team, and a whole team of content writers. We write lots of content for people, probably close to 300 to 400 features a year.
Huh. Wow. So yeah, and I want to dig into some of that, some of the stuff you do with SEO and everything. See if we can find some, get a little background, get some tips there. But you mentioned, it sounds like you had a long history there of some guiding and a little bit of everything. What at some point in there, did you kind of make a decision that you weren't going to be, your typical all in on guiding and that end in fly fishing, and then you went some other route? Can you take us to that point, or what was it pretty clean?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got tired of being out and entertaining in the boat every day, because really that's what guiding is. I mean, it's you're really entertaining people. You've got to be able to tell them
Yep.
stories and everything else. And I guided a lot of people, different nationalities, from all over the world, Japanese and French people from France, Germany, England, and I just started having things happen. Like, I had one guy called me up and wanted to know about bringing a couple of 14-year-olds with him, but he didn't tell me the whole story until I met him at the boat ramp. He dropped the kids off with me, and he took off and went fishing by himself.
Oh, wow.
So I was his babysitter.
Yep.
And the industry was just changing. And so I just, I decided just to roll out of it. And, I've always been really good with people and talking. And I actually built my first website in 1996. I actually paid a guy $40 an hour to teach me DOS and sit next to me at a desk, and in the old dial-up days and before HTML, and build website. And my first site was on a server through Fly Fisherman Magazine out of Denver.
Huh.
And the only way I could get it to upload was at 3:30 in the morning, because Sprint owned all the lines then. And when you would upload, you could actually trace it from Montana, that would go to Chicago, then Kansas City, Atlanta, Houston. You could follow your data going across the lines till it finally got to Denver, and uploaded to your website. And
wow. So you basically, I mean, I guess it's similar to my story a little bit, where, I did a little bit of guiding too, but just didn't love it, and that's the bottom line. You didn't love it. So you went into, the online space early on, and you've been doing that now for, basically what, like 20 plus years now?
Yes, I actually have. I was booking trips online, T-shirts, and I had $10,000 bronzes online, but in those days, you couldn't even get people to look at anything that cost that much online. They were scared to death of the internet, but it was, it was good to have them there. It was good promotion for my artist friends. Let's put it that way.
Well, I want to dig into some of the, you mentioned the consulting you do and things like that. But before we get there, can you just talk, because I'm a little, I don't totally know. I mean, I know some of the websites that I guess you own. Can you talk about your own? Because I think of the trailofhighways.com there. When you go to that, you instantly come to where it looks like you're selling Fin Cognito brand products. Can you talk about what you're selling there, just what you're and kind of all the websites that you own personally or professionally?
Oh, professionally, well, through another media company out of Georgia, I've got 106 websites that in that company, I believe we're in the process of selling off, so I don't want to dive into too much of that, and there's a lot of proprietary stuff there. But we do a lot of content there. As newspapers were going out of business, I went across the internet, and I was working for Newsblaze out of San Francisco at that time, doing web development and selling ads for them, and managing content and things like that. So I started buying up newspapers as they were going out of business, just their websites. That was the only thing they had that was worth any money.
Uh-huh.
And first one I bought was St. Aug News, which now is 20-some years old. And has a lot of traffic to it. And I just picked them up across the U.S. We've got 106 of them. We use to market companies out of there. And then I'm an avid backpacker, and I still love to fish, and I actually love to tie flies more than I like to guide. And I'm going to actually start a traveling fly tying video series where I'm going to be gone starting in March. I'm going to be working off of the road for 6 months straight, I'm going to be backpacking sections of the Pacific Crest Trail. I've got all my permits. I've got friends coming over from Germany doing the Continental Divide Trail. I'm going to go hook up with them and do sections of that as well. But I'm planning on fishing at least 2 days a week while I'm out on the road. And I'm going to do beginner fly tying videos and show people how to live on the road and have the right type of fly tying material with you. And I'm using a boat gear bag. Basically, I've set up with everything with all my whiting hackles and different hackles in there, and just teach people how to tie flies and do fly fishing videos and more backpacking videos and show the trail. I love to be outdoors. I love to walk. To me, there's nothing like hiking down a trail somewhere.
Nice. So it sounds like you've been kind of traveling on, and you're going back on the road. I mean, do you have a family there, or what's your background? I mean, have they been, just how have you been able to be sounds like a traveler for a lot of your life?
I've actually designed my work around that. When I first started working for Yamaha and a bunch of other companies, I was actually living out of a van. And I just use a MiFi unit. And there's actually videos out there that are really old from a family called the Wynn family. And him and his wife were doing exactly what I was doing, but they were actually videoing it and I wasn't. Then they run a marketing company as well. And I've just designed my life so that I've got a great staff and people that surround me, and I can be out and be gone doing this. As far as children goes, they're all grown, gone, and have lives of their own and in their 30s.
Really?
So, yeah.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to be 63 years old next month.
There you go. So you're still young, and you got plenty of time here. What now? Your kids? How many kids and girls, boys?
I have one that's my own biological, and then I have a significant other that I participated in raising those three, and there's 2 girls there and a boy there.
Okay.
And my biological daughter and the one other daughter, they both live in Seattle, and the other kids are in Montana.
Oh, gotcha. And are your kids doing anything in the outdoor space, or what are they up to?
Not really. They are hunters and fishermen, but one of them is married to a geologist, and her background was actually to be a hydrologist, but she works the corporate world at Zillow.
Oh,
and
there you go.
And so, yeah, so it's and the other ones, we just had 4 grandchildren born in the last 3 months. So actually, the one boy, he's actually being a stay-at-home dad with the baby, and his wife's got a great manager's job, and so she's working. And
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. So it's
That's cool.
It is cool. It's fun.
That's cool. So yeah, I want to get to. I'm trying to just get a picture of for those that I know there are people that listen to this that are going to be interested to know, like, on the online space, how how you make a business out of this. Can you talk about a little bit about where online where you make your money, or is it coming from those sales and the trail of highways, or is this coming from consulting? Can you give us a little perspective on that?
It actually comes mixed, more from consulting. I've actually got clients out there in the archery space that I've built their website. I do all their marketing, all their SEO, and I've taken them, and they're a local Colorado company, from not having any online business at all 18 months ago to doing $10,000 a month online, and their local walk-in business is almost $30K a month. And that's all just from SEO, marketing, content with blogs, things of that nature. And I do that for several other companies. And I haven't been able to get my own business up that far as apparel and stuff goes. And I work with Klymit Gear too, who I love those guys out of Salt Lake City. I sell their tents, backpacks, sleeping bags, and things like that. But I'm so busy getting everybody else's business up to the level that they would like it, that I don't take enough time to do. to do my own. I'm kind of like the auto mechanic who's
Yeah.
everybody else's car runs great, but mine kind of chugs along.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty good. So like, let's take it to the archery, that company there. I think, the interesting thing is that, definitely there are people, you probably have some tips and tricks. People, maybe they're doing their solo thing, trying to start their business out here. Can you talk a little bit about, how you got that company from, 0 to 10K? I mean, what does it look like? What did you do for them? You talk about SEO.
Well,
like when they come to you, can you give us a little brief rundown on that process?
definitely. First thing was to look at what they had for a website structure, their sales platform, and all of that, what they had was absolutely terrible. And it really matters on having everything set up with all your images being alt tagged and your good meta descriptions and having a good website structure. And we build everything off of WordPress. We start with a basic child theme, but we hard code everything together after that. And then just going through and making sure as we're putting up all of the products is where I started first, and SEO and every piece of inventory that went on that website, so it could be found. To give you an idea, like last month's analytics came in for that website, and now this isn't even counting social or the email letters I do for them. I do all their newsletters as well. They actually showed up in search 30,000 times in the month of January. But it's all we write blogs about. They host the ASA tournaments, the JOAD tournaments, and one of their staff members, we do technical stuff. We run technical schools, all of that. We write about it all. We video it all.
How do you gauge success? When you go back to these companies and you talk about success. How do you let them know how you're doing? I mean, is there one metric? Is there a few? I mean, do you have one? Is it just bottom line?
A lot of metrics. It goes basically about, traffic to the website, how it's performing, and their involvement too. Because if you just put up, everybody's got this, I call it the field of dreams syndrome. Build it and they'll come. That is not the truth.
Yeah.
If you build it, they don't come.
No.
You've got to work it. You've got to be running a full social program. You've got to be having a newsletter going out, and you've got to have a few thousand people signed up for your newsletter in order for it to have any type of impact at all. Social media, it's hard to anymore. Back in the early days when I first started, I mean, I've got a social network of over 1 million people through the other company. But it was easy back in 2009, 2010 to build niche social networks. It's a lot harder now. Everybody, in the old days, I'll call it the old days, even though it's 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not really that long ago.
Yeah.
It was easy to go in and gain followers and build an audience, and you had good reach. Where now, to me, Facebook, I absolutely detest it, but I use it. Mm-hmm. They've taken, where you had I got one client who's got 250,000 followers on Facebook, and we do a post or anything, you only reach 5% of that audience.
Yeah.
Which to me is, I mean, Zuckerberg's he's smart, but he's really a crook.
Yeah.
Because you put in all of this work to build an audience, and then they don't even get to see your postings or read your stories or anything unless you pay him to reach your own audience.
Right.
After you've put in all this time and everything to build it. And I just that to me just grinds me. I mean, I get that they've got to make money and stuff, but there ought to be, you ought to pay to reach other audiences other than your own.
Yep.
And one thing people don't understand when they come in too is I do have an outdoor network through Road Trek TV of over 100,000 people. That's a niche market for fly fishing, backpacking, and travel. And people think they come in with 3, 4, 5,000, 10,000, 30,000 people. but you're feeding the same 30,000 people the same message over and over and over again. So after a while, you start seeing diminishing returns. And that's where SEO and having somebody like me with more reach, and I have access to a lot of buyers through major corporations, and I just can't say how, or I'm not going to say how, but you've got to be able to go out and spend the dollars to reach those other people in order to expand your company and get the growth that you're looking for. You can't just stay stuck in one place. Yeah, SEO, content, all of that will definitely raise, and you can see a 20 to 30% increase in sales in the first year by doing all of that. But after that 12 to 15 month period, you're going to see things level out or even decline some because you're not reaching any more new people.
Have you ever heard of the blog post by Kevin Kelly, 1,000 True Fans?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So that, I think, kind of goes, I think there's two schools of thought. There's a schools of thought where you have to keep getting bigger and building more and more, and millions and stuff like that. Well, it depends on your model and stuff. But there's also the model that says, you really only need 1,000 people to be, as long as they're your true fans, and you've built relationships and they're sharing your stuff and they love, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's where, obviously when I think about what I'm doing with this podcast, I guess I kind of think about that way, because I think when you get into the numbers of, millions and having to do, obviously SEO stuff is important. Finding new people is important. But I think, especially for somebody starting out, I think people get so, and I guess maybe this is more talk, it depends on your product, but thinking of the online space, right, that, you get so caught up in the numbers, you don't realize that actually, think about it. If you sold, say, an online a course for $1,000, how many people would you need to buy that thing until you had a sustainable business, right? So I think it depends. It sounds like you're more in the game of you need to get more and more followers. Is that basically the case with some of the stuff you're doing?
It really is. And if you take hard goods and, like you take the Cognito brand stuff that Doug and I do, you reach a saturation point, and that stuff will last for years. I've got shirts that are 6 years old that are still, they look almost as good as the day I got them.
And isn't that what, again, I think that going back to it, I think it's products I have, the good companies, Thermarest. Actually, I just ripped my Thermarest, chair, but I've had it for 20, 30 years. And I think the good companies, that is a good question, because I talk about them. You know what I mean? When somebody asks me, I'm like, how many times I've told somebody about my Thermarest chair kit? And I've done the marketing for that company. So,
right.
You know what I mean? And I wonder how many people that I've influenced just because of my word of mouth, So I think the Fin Cognito, it sounds like they've got an amazing product and people are probably already doing that marketing for you, right?
They are to a point. But in order to get the sustainability of where it needs to be, we've got to reach a bigger audience faster than what we're doing.
Yeah. Because it's a physical product.
Because it's a physical product, it has a long longevity, and you've just got to be able to get out there and do that.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, you get stuck in one place, and if you want to just have 1,000 people that maybe tell a few other people, and you grow it 2 to 3% a year, that's fine. But if you actually want to build something that either want to pass down to your kids or sell it off for retirement, or turn it into a business, you've got to get out there, and you've got to do it. You've got to do it. You've got to work it hard.
Do you? I want to talk a little more, dig into the Fin Cognito and Snowbee and some other companies that we kind of work with. But another book I've actually just been kind of reading, or recently, was Guerrilla Marketing, and I kind of just started it. But
Oh, you're just starting those? Oh, Jay Levinson. When Jay was alive, I actually went to his seminars back
yeah,
in the early days.
exactly. Yeah. So it's an older book. So the cool thing about it, because I'm kind of like nerdy that way, the business marketing and kind of online stuff. And,
Hmm.
I heard him through another book that was about podcasting, basically, which is another great book. I'm drawing a blank on the name. But the guerrilla marketing is, get out there. You're a solo entrepreneur, get out there and you don't have the money to reach a huge audience. So you got to, basically what I was talking about with the true fans, I think, like you got to dig in and you got to just serve that one person, and I kind of think of it that way for myself, that I'm trying to find and delight a few people, and I don't know, I guess I question like, well, now is that, sustainable? Or if I was to ask you, looking at my brand, how would you recommend, if you just take that, for example, that I could, I mean, my podcast is growing slowly, but how would you recommend I take that to the next level?
To take it to the next level, well, as we've discussed before, I would turn a lot of these into excerpts. I would actually, be running some very niche targeted ads, and not a big spend either. I mean, I would be taking, like Instagram, or even, I think Twitter works well for your product as well. And just be doing like some $150 a month spends on some shows, just to push the message out there and to grow your social account, so that when you get to a point and you're putting a show live, you can actually put out a message saying this show's going live, and you'll actually have, another 1,000 or 2,000 more people going there to listen, and it doesn't take a whole lot of money as far as that end goes. I mean, running a good website and things like that, you've got to make if you're running a hard product, like the archery
Yep.
thing in schools and
Yep.
classes and things like that, a spend for them was like $5,000 out of the gate roughly. And the average monthly spend to sustain that and turn the income we're turning is under $2K a month.
Yeah. Wow.
So their return, their ROI is extremely well.
Well, that's the thing you track. And then on the ROI, how would you, if you take, say, the Twitter, you did some sort of Twitter ads or something for $150, how would you track, what would be your metric to track success on that spend?
On that spend would be the number of people that actually clicked and came in.
Yeah.
And then the number of people that bought, plus also the number of people that actually started following your brand, even though they haven't bought at this time. And it does take an average of anywhere from 7 to 13 times for somebody to visit a website to make a purchase. Everybody thinks too that if you click in one time, they're going to buy something, but they don't. I mean, like we just sold a $1,375 PSE bow to a woman in South Florida out of Miami, a target bow for tournament shooting. But she visited the website. I tracked her. She visited the website 9 times before she bought.
That's right. That's the 7. I talk a lot about the 7, or think about the 7 hits, where it's, they hear you here, and then they connect with you on Facebook and Twitter, and then finally, the 7th or 13th time they actually are like, okay, well, it's the know, like, and trust. They're and it makes sense. People, that listen to my podcast, they're not going to spend any money on anything until they know me and they like me, and then they trust, right? They got to trust. That's the bottom line. So that's what we're building. I did want to talk Fin Cognito. Can you talk a little about that brand? Because we're doing a giveaway, and we're going to be giving away some of their products. And we'll also get into Snowbee, but talk about what Fin Cognito is and who the founder is and all that.
The founder is Doug Foudy. And Doug used to own children's, another clothing company called outdoor company called Molehill. And it was based here in Idaho Springs, Colorado. And he sold that off as regulations changed, and it just got harder to do children's clothing.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's an avid fly fisherman, and I've known Doug for a while. And he decided to create a whole outdoor performance line based on artwork, and it's called it's wearable art is what it is.
Yeah.
And all the designs on all of the items, the leggings, the jacket, the pullover, the new pullover hoodies, and we'll get into those because I field tested that before we came out with them. Some pro hoodies, the gloves, everything. All artists make money off of everything that we sell off the websites and out of the retail stores and things like that. So I mean, we're helping artists and we're giving people great designs and great products. I mean, everything is an SPF 50, and it's awesome. I mean, I backpack in it. Well, if you go watch my videos, you'll see I'm wearing the brown trout leggings most of the time, and
that's right.
A couple of my favorite shirts out of the group.
That's right. I saw you at the. I think that's where we met at the IFTD. You were wearing the spandex, the leggings, and I asked Doug at the show. I was like, or we got talking. He's like, no. He's like, Tom wears the leggings. I don't really wear the tight leggings. So it's pretty. You support. Yeah, I mean, you're promoting. I mean, this product's on your Trail of Highways, right? Those are all of Doug's products.
Yes, they are. Yep.
Yeah. So
not everything. I've got Klymit and other brands up there as well with Snowbee, but all the apparel on there is definitely his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you're selling it there, you're just doing that as, I mean, how does that work? Do you get a cut off of those sales that are going through?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. Off of everybody. And then I actually work with him and Snowbee for building up their brands, generating sales on their own website. And I mean, I promote them more off of their own website than I do off of mine. But
so fincognito.com.
So actually we've just changed, we redid that website. It's actually Cognito Brands now. And Doug's expanded it, and I've helped him come up with different things and field tested stuff. And and now he's got Mountain Cognito, which is all rock climbing, backpacking, hiking designs, ski designs. And then he just came out with Ocean Cognito when he did the Surf Expo in Florida, and he was pretty well received with the new stuff on it. And it's got surfers and breaching whales and dolphins.
So he's got a potential to, I mean, obviously fly fishing is a small niche, but it sounds like he's thinking bigger, expanding out, because the product, what the product is, it's a sunshade, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's
an
light.
SPF 50. Yes.
Yeah. SPF 50.
It's performance wear. I mean, we definitely compete right in there with Patagonia, Columbia, North Face. In fact, we have a new product, which I guess I'll get into it. Doug calls it on his website a Flex Shield. I call it what I really truly believe it is off of Trail of Highways, a hydrophobic flex. Doug calls it a Flex Shell. I call it a Flex Shield. And the reason is because it is water resistant and wind resistant. And it's an interesting fabric. It's actually got 47% cotton in it, which when Doug got the sample of it, he called me and said, God, he said, I'm scared to death of this. I said, well, have him make a shirt, send it over. I'll take it out. And it was spring of last year. And you know how the weather was in the Northwest last year.
Yep. Lots
of rain, lots of snow. So they sent a shirt in my size. And I took it out and went backpacking with it. And I went up to a lake out of Salida. And I mean, it snowed, it hailed, torrential downpour on my way out.
Yeah.
And I hiked down with my backpack on, and I left my rain jacket in my backpack. I decided I was going to see how this fabric actually performs.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I never got cold. I was warm all weekend in it. It's a very heavy pullover, quarter zip. And it took 30 minutes in a torrential downpour before I actually felt the moisture coming through it.
Uh-huh.
And so I kept it on for another mile or so down the mountain, another half hour or so. And then I started to get wet.
Yeah.
So I stopped, took off my pack, pulled out my rain jacket, but I still left on that pullover. And I put my rain jacket on over that, put my backpack on, and then headed the other 3 miles down the trail to the trailhead to my vehicle. And I still did not get cold. And it was, it was cold enough out that it was hailing and snowing. I mean, it was only in the, there was a 40s, low 40s, maybe even high 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I got down to the rig, took off my rain jacket, my backpack, threw them in the back seat of the 4x4 and climbed into the front and started it up and flipped on the heat, still leaving that soaking wet shirt on. And I drove 90 miles back to the house. And by the time I got, probably to Divide or Fluorescent, the shirt was almost dry.
Oh, so it dries quick.
It dries quick.
Quick drying.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect outdoor. And I'll put a link to that product in the show notes so people can check it out. Is that something that we can actually purchase now?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And also, what is it called?
Go ahead.
No,
I call it a hydrophobic flex shield.
Hydrophobic. Okay, and also at
I'll email you a link over to them.
Okay, perfect. And at wetflyswing.com/giveaway will be a link to the giveaway that we're doing. And actually, I think this might be, by the time this goes out, the giveaway that we're doing may be over. And if it is, people can still sign up there and get their name in for the next giveaway we'll be doing. And I'm sure that down the line there'll be more Fin or a Cognito brand, because it's a cool product. It catches your eye right away. It's bright. There's cool big fish photos on it. So yeah, I want to before we get out of here, I want to dig into some tips for people. Again, I think my focus here is maybe that new guide or company that wants to do better on their social media. Maybe we'll get into some tips a little bit. But before we do, I want to talk about Snowbee. They're another company who I actually met William and his crew at, again, IFTD. Another plug for IFTD. I think that's again, networking. If you're a business, your best chance, many people have said on this podcast, go to the events. That's the best thing you can do. But I met Snowbee there, and we were talking about, looking at their gear. I wasn't familiar with them at the time, but they broke out this really cool rain jacket, which was just this unique thing. So maybe you could talk just briefly about, the company and that jacket, kind of what they do best.
Okay. Snowbee has actually been around 40 years. They aren't very well known in the U.S., unfortunately, more so in England and Europe, Germany, and in that area. But their products exceed everything else sold in the U.S. by a long shot. I'm amazed and blown away by this stuff. Being in the industry as long as I've been in the industry, I haven't seen anything like this, and the ingenuity and even the new stuff coming that I can't talk about is actually mind blowing. But the Novelis jacket that you're talking about is probably the best puffy on the market. It's better than any of the competitors out there. It is actually, it's really waterproof, but we won't say it's waterproof because the seams, the next generation will be. But this one, around the seams and stuff, water will seep in a little bit. But the down always stays dry.
That's right. It's down. Yeah. So it's a down jacket.
It's a down jacket. It always stays dry. It's totally wind resistant, 100%. I've worn this thing out at 13 below zero and 30 mile an hour winds and not got chilled except for my face.
Does it, and I love down. I mean, when I talk about the stuff I wear all the time, it's, I try to wear mostly wool and mostly down. I mean, as far as the
same here.
Yeah.
Yes.
As far as the natural, I mean, there's a ton of synthetic stuff, obviously fleece and all that, which is great too. But I mean, you just can't beat down, right? I mean, as far as staying warm, and does this jacket pack up pretty small?
Actually it does. I'm taking it with me on the backpacking trips this summer. I took it last fall with me as well.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it fits in. I have an old stuff bag. I don't even remember what product was in it that I wore out, and it rolls up nicely. And I have a little Velcro strap I throw around it to compress it down further, and I just drop it in this stuff sack.
Yeah,
that's right. It works great.
That's right. Okay, and then also, I mean, I think Snowbee has waders. I mean, can you talk about some of the other stuff what they do, what they're best at?
Yes, I definitely will. And waders and fly line is two areas they really excel at. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Their fabric, it's called a fabric soft touch prestige wader, breathable wader. These things are incredible. And I've never seen anything like them. And they don't make noise when you're walking. They have waterproof pockets in them. and they're double and triple layered in your rear end and down through your knees and stuff. And the way the layers are put together is if a thorn pokes through, it'll only go through one layer, so it doesn't go all the way in. So you don't get wet while you're out there waiting. You can pull the thorn out, fix your little hole later, and the water will just build up inside, and you can easily get it out in between the two layers if you're wading that deep. And it's an absolutely incredible product. The way that's designed with the air pocket and how the seams are sealed, and like you take your 5-layer neoprenes that everybody's got out there, everybody brags about. Those things are like wearing cardboard. I mean, you can't move in them. They're heavy. They're hot. I hate them. And they've taken wader design to a whole new level. And they've done the same thing. They have what they call a seamless fusion technology neoprene glove, which basically neoprene isn't waterproof, but this thing is waterproof and nimble. It's a 1 millimeter thick neoprene, and it has anti-slip on it, so you don't take the slime off of fish, so you can handle fish while you're out fishing with it. But the other thing I thought was really cool with it, I'm an avid photographer, and I could run my SLR with it without taking the gloves off. Oh yeah, it's awesome.
This is cool. I'm actually just looking at the Snowbee website, and this is what I love about this show. I mean, I think there's probably some people that maybe aren't into all the nerdy gear stuff, but I mean, you got fly rods, reels, lines, waders, apparel, all sorts of stuff. And so on the fly reels, which I didn't even really realize, it looks like they have, do they have both trout and steelhead salmon, bigger stuff, game fish?
They do. They've kind of pulled back a little bit on that because they just weren't making a big enough dent in that market. And so everything is pretty much geared around trout fishing and freshwater for bass. And, they definitely have lighter weight steelhead stuff. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I'm looking at one. I'm looking at one here. I guess the Spectre is the cassette reel.
Cassette reel, yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's
it's actually called Spectre.
Right, Spectre with the R. Gotcha. So the 7/8 probably is something that would be a steelhead type.
Yeah, steelhead, pike. They'll make a good bass rod, things like that. Cool. Muskie. They have a line called a thistledown line, which is a multi rod weight line. It goes like a 2 to 5 weight, and then a 6 to 8 weight. And this stuff is incredible. I took a 2-weight rod and was actually hitting a target at 80 feet with this line.
Really? Are you a spey casting champion? Or not spey? Are you a fly casting champion?
No, but back in the day when I used to guide all the time, and I was running a fly fishing school at
you're pretty
West
good.
Glacier. We had a 42-foot casting pond up there. And I would take and put a 2-inch Dixie cup on the other side on the ledge of the casting pond. And, mind you, I can't do that anymore. But back in those days, I was out every day. I mean, I'd guide a couple hundred days out of the year. And I could lay a fly in that 2-inch Dixie cup at 42 feet.
There you go. So you are a good caster. I mean, so this line, just briefly, how, so you can cast from very light rods to very heavy rods. What do you know, the technology, all the diameter, all that stuff?
Yes, I do. The tip on it for a delicate presentation actually goes down to a 1-weight line, but the running line is actually a lot heavier, but it's still thinner than everything else on the market. And their nanotechnology, their coating over the top of it, where if you were to put it underneath a microscope and look at everybody else's coating, you see air bubbles and, air pockets and this type of stuff in it. This is completely smooth. You do not see any air pockets or anything like that, which allows it to go through the guides a lot smoother and through the air smoother because there's nothing to catch on.
Gotcha. And how heavy of a weight rod can you use it on?
I've only used it up to a 6 weight. I know they say you can do a 7 and 8 weight with it. I've got an 8 weight rod here, but I have not tried it on one yet.
Yeah.
So I can't honestly say. I'm
Gotcha.
fishing mostly, 3 to 5 weights most of the time.
Yeah. It seems, and I'm not definitely a master of fly lines, but I have talked to a few people more on the space side and talking about grain weights. And it seems like I will have to, it seems like I don't understand, right? Because you talk about grain weights, a certain grain weight, a line weighs a certain amount, it balances with it. And people talk about, lining a rod where you have to change it up to get the right line for the rod. It seems
Right.
crazy, kind of interesting how you could have something that would fit a bunch of different weight rods when grain rates must be different.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of wild at first. And one of the things I did notice with it is I had it on a 5 foot or a 5 weight 9'6", and I was trying to do 12-foot casts with it. And I was having a little bit of trouble doing that. But when I started getting out to normal 25 to 30-foot casts, it was great. It was incredible. And then when I put it on, I fish a 7-foot 3 weight a lot. Here in Colorado, we don't have I go over to the Taylor quite a bit. I fish the Arkansas a lot where, I definitely use a 10-foot 3 weight over there. Because you got to just get out there a little farther and do a little more. But on the Taylor, I fish a 7-foot 3 weight and I use nothing but that thistle down line. And, when I'm catching 14 to 18-inch browns and I'm having great presentations with both dry fly and nymphs. And I nymph fish a little different than most people. People look at me weird, but everybody uses those small, dainty strike indicators.
Yeah.
And I use an ice fishing bobber for an indicator. I started doing that when I was guiding. I ordered these things in from Gunnerama. I used to sell them out of my fly shop, and they're styrofoam and they're about 1.5 inches long, and you feed the line through them, and they're orange on one end and white on the other end. And I started using those for clients because they could never see when they were getting a strike. And as soon as I switched over and started using that for the indicators, nymphing with the clients, their hookups went up by over 50%.
Nice. Well, anything else we want to dig into on Snowbee? I mean, obviously there's a lot of different products people can check out at snowbee-usa.com. But anything else before we kind of move on?
No, they do have a great new camo tippet material I've been using that's pretty awesome. And, other than that, just stay tuned because there's a lot of really cool innovations coming. I would get in now and start making switches. The lines aren't going to change much. I would get a thistle down line. I can't say enough about that. I've been fishing that for a little over a year now. And the Novelis jackets are, I'm out there on the trail all the time, and I've used the other puffies out there. And those things, I've got one acquaintance who he did a Triple Crown finally last year. And he carries 3 puffies to stay warm in his backpack. And I'm like, what are you doing that for? Get this Novelis jacket. You only need to carry one.
Exactly.
Think about the space and the weight. And, that's how bad these other puffies are. And they're in the same price range.
Yeah.
It just kind of cracks me up.
Yeah. I'll put a link to that. Well, and I think that is going to be our giveaway, one of our giveaway products, for this
Yes,
round.
it is.
So we'll have that. Okay, Cool. Well, if anybody has questions, I'll put a link in the show notes. They can check out more of Snowbee. And we're going to wrap it up here, Tom, pretty quick. I just had, I guess this is what I call the rapid fire round. Although it's not always super rapid, but we'll do our best here. So when you think about, obviously you have a lot of experience fly fishing, doing a lot of stuff in the outdoor space. What do you think it is that people, that maybe know you or don't know you that they get wrong about you? After knowing you, talking to you, or maybe not even, maybe they see you online and they see this. Is there anything that people get wrong about you? Do you kind of know where I'm coming from there? It's, I
think people think that, because I'm pretty loud and kind of overdressed when I'm on the trail. I get a lot of weird looks, and a lot of people stray away from me because they do look at me like I'm a little bit of a weirdo.
Because you're wearing tights.
Because I'm wearing spandex, brown trout leggings.
I got to throw this out. I think I've written a little bit online. If you search for pink spandex Eagle Creek Trail, you'll find probably an article about me. I can't remember how it came to be, but I was somehow, it wasn't a bet, but I was just somewhere it came with my family. I was like, we were doing a lot of hiking. I said, you know what? I've got these pink spandex, I'm going to wear them on this major trail, one of the busiest trails in our area, and just see what happens. Right. So I wore pink spandex that day, and I couldn't believe the looks that I got that whole day. I mean, I was definitely the freaky person out there. And everybody was like, some people were laughing, some people were running away. I mean, it was unbelievable, right? It was kind of a test, and that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. And that even goes back to one of the stepdaughters. I lost a bet to her, and the bet was that she got to dye my hair, and so she dyed my hair purple, and it was supposed to be a hair dye that would wash out within a couple of weeks. Well, it didn't. 6 months later, my hair was pink. And I was going to business meetings like this and making sales. But what was the amazing part is when I told prospective clients, they would ask about my hair, and I have long hair and a beard and everything. And I told them what the deal was, that I lost a bet to the daughter and, and this is what happened. 90% of them signed a contract with me because they said they believed I had great integrity because I would honor a bet with my child and do this.
Roy.
Yep.
So it actually helped your business.
It helped my business in the long run.
There you go. There's a good reminder for everybody, just to be open. And your beard, for the record, your beard wasn't pink.
No, my beard wasn't pink.
Yeah, your beard was pink. Okay. Okay, cool. And what about, do you have any, I was just thinking about, I don't dig into the conservation much, but do you have any conservation, kind of messages, species, anything that you focus on, or any of the companies you work with that kind of, give back to that whole process?
These days, not at the moment. And it's something I've been writing some stuff about that, but I used to be very heavy, and I'm still heavy into conservation when I'm talking with people and things like that. I believe what's going on in this country right now is a crying shame, and that the American public is being raped by our government and corporations. But back when I was 18 years old and Earth Day started, I actually organized our town's very first trash cleanup. I actually organized and put together the very first river cleanup on the Missouri River out of Wolf Creek and Craig. And I've always been involved in conservation in one way or another. I've helped with legislative bills. I've done various things on that. And at the moment, I've just I kind of read a lot, but I really haven't gotten proactive with any group per se so much. I do a little bit with VOC here, which is Volunteer Outdoor Colorado. And they do a lot of trail maintenance and stuff like that. And I donate to them and help them out online any way that I possibly can. But, cool. I just haven't gotten out and, I look at the big boys. Go ahead.
Finish that thought on the big boys.
Oh, I think the big boys have gotten too political and the grassroots and really being involved with doing conservation. They aren't there. I mean, I guess I really got out of it because I really got burned really bad by the Nature Conservancy years ago. And they really soured me on getting involved with companies. I mean, they were like dealing with Ted Turner. They would say one thing out of one side of their mouth, and what they did out of the other side was complete opposite.
Gotcha.
And,
Yeah.
I refer to Ted because I went to his meetings and stuff when he came in and started buying ranches in Montana, and he didn't tell us, any of us, the truth there.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
that was
old Ted Turner, Ted and his what's his wife?
Jane at the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jane.
Yeah.
Jane. Sorry. So no, I think the Earth Day is interesting. I mean, that's something coming up here, and for 4/22, right? That's the one of the days where, I mean, I think that the cool thing about the Earth Day thing is that a lot of people that don't ever think about conservation, at least once a year, there's this big, this event that makes people think about it. So, yeah, no, I mean, definitely the conservation piece, people know that listen to this, we don't dig into that. There's tons of great groups out there doing that, but
really is.
Yeah, I might link out something on the Earth Day just to give some more information there. Let's see here.
I'll throw in one other real quick thing. On the bottom of all my blogs and my videos, I do ask people to go support local conservation organizations. Yeah. I think that's what it's got to be. It needs to be a huge drive of, basically like our founding fathers with small local businesses. We need to be supporting small local conservation groups in order to really get anything done.
That's true. No, I second that for sure. We've been talking about the online stuff a lot and some of that, the businesses. What, as far as what you do, why, if you had, the question of why do people fail at what you do? I mean, so you're doing the social, you're trying to promote. So some companies out here, why are those people failing that aren't doing well, that are maybe giving up? Maybe they're not. Why is that? Why are they failing, do you think?
I think most people have their expectations are the reason they're failing. And I think a lot of them quit before they actually reach the success stage where if they'd stay at it, everybody thinks that being online and doing all this stuff is free. It's easy. It isn't.
Yeah.
It's work. It's a full-time job for one person. And that's where most people fail, is they aren't willing to delegate or put somebody in there or put in the time to do it. Yep. It is a lot of time. And then the other thing with social is, get out there, put your message out, engage with your audience, but don't spend, so much time on one platform talking with everybody, because you'll waste a day and you'll waste time.
Yep.
That you could be doing productive with other things. Just, engage, but do it smartly. Yeah. And I look at it all, it's all like a wagon wheel or a spider web. It all leads to the center, which is you. So you need to be, putting in a little bit of time everywhere, but delegate your time.
Yeah.
Just don't focus all on Instagram or all on Twitter or, all on Facebook or LinkedIn. No. And in fact, LinkedIn is actually becoming quite interesting. It's starting to grow again at an exceptional rate, and their engagement rate has gone up quite a bit. And I'm on there a lot. I've always been a big LinkedIn, and I've always been a big Twitter fan as well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of outfitters on LinkedIn selling trips and booking trips. It's kind of interesting, and I talked to several of them.
Yep. No, I think LinkedIn is definitely a new one you hear about, especially in the business space. That's a good one to be connected with. Cool, Tom. Well, I think that is it. This has been, definitely a lot of fun. Do you know in the next, want to give us a shout out in the next 6 months or so, anything new with any of the companies you work for, Snowbee, Fin Cognito, anything you want to let us know you have upcoming yourself personally?
Personally, me, I'm going to be out living in a tent on the trail, tying flies and fishing and shooting videos. Snowbee has new products coming out. I just can't say what is coming.
Yep.
But you're going to see them expanding more into, not so much the fly fishing space, but the outdoor backpacking, hiking, biking. Yep. That they're heading in that direction is where they're going.
There you go. Does that mean they're going to slowly be leaving the fly fishing space, or will they still have gear?
Oh no, they'll still be expanding the fly fishing line, and there's new innovations coming in the fly fishing line as well. But their products and some of the stuff coming out, like the Neville's jacket, and there's some new stuff coming with that.
Yep.
It all fits into that other space that they have not been marketing into yet. That I've been having discussions with them, and it is an area that they will be heading within the next 3 months.
There you go. And if they want to find you, I guess like we mentioned, trailofhighways.com is the best place they can track you down if they have questions or want to dig in some of this stuff, some of the marketing service you provide, right?
Yeah, just email me off of there and drop me a note off the contact form, and I'll get right back to you, and we can dig into whatever your needs are.
Cool.
From talking fishing and backpacking to marketing and website design and build, phone apps, whatever you may need.
That's it. You do it all. This is the cool thing. You're like if somebody wants to do it, you can kind of cover them. So this is great, Tom. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I think this has definitely been one of those episodes is a little bit different than the norm. And, I like mixing it up. So I think there's probably a few people that will love this, and maybe they'll, reach out to you, and that you'll hear hear of them through the show. So that'd be cool. But yeah, thanks again for coming on in the chat, and we'll keep in touch with you.
All right. Sounds good, Dave. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. And thank you very much for this opportunity to be on with you. I greatly appreciate it.
You bet. Great to have you on. See ya.
All right. See you later, Dave. Thanks.
So there you go. If you want to find all the show notes with all the links we covered, just go to wetflyswing.com/128. I'm in the process of launching a second podcast in the online marketing space with a focus on outdoor companies. I'll be interviewing experts and mentors that I've had over the years and recommended, and some great people. So if you're interested and want to, if you have a business or have ideas about getting into business and want to learn about how to get into online marketing and everything that goes with that, go to wetflyswing.com/online, and I'll give you an update when it launches, probably later in April. And I want to thank you again for stopping by today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon, maybe connecting with you online or on the river.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com. And if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes.